there are three things that I would say need to be, and this is for me, this is every year, this is for folks in the Sector Secrets Mastery. What are the three things that we're going to prioritize into 2025? I mean, really keep a discipline to, total focus on. Number one is follow trends. And I've got Bitcoin here. Is Bitcoin a trend any longer? And this brings a reality that we have. A lot of the trends that we saw last year are no longer trends now. A lot of the strength we saw last year is no longer strength now. And I'm going through Bitcoin, S&P, NASDAQ, technology, Apple. Apple is a trend, right? So what am I going to focus on? I'm going to focus on trends. How do I define them? They are daily time frames, which is the most psychologically significant, daily time frames that have a bullish momentum and, more importantly, bullish trend, which is this lower row of colors on a tool called the multi-structure. Some of you might have the multi-trend. And either way, this is what we're focusing on. Primarily green candles, right? And typically a nice series of overall higher lows and higher highs. And so this is what we want to focus on in terms of follow through. And this is just my take on how to start off 2025 and keep an attitude of account growth in mind. Account growth happens when you follow trends. So that's number one. Number two is a focus on position sizing and risk management. So let's get into a little bit more detail here. If I'm trading Apple, am I going to position size larger in a trend as opposed to position sizing in chop, like perhaps Google? Google's a little bit more choppy. It's bullish, but it's choppy. My position sizing in Apple is going to be potentially larger than my position sizing in Google because the probability of follow through is slightly better in Apple. It's never what's going to happen. It's what's most likely to happen, right? It's never certainty, it's probability. So I would be bullish in both of those, but I would probably give Apple a little bit more in terms of potential budget, in terms of potential allocation than Google or even Amazon. Right? So the better the quality of the trend, the more I'm willing to put, and with caps, by the way, there's a cap on how much I'm allowed to spend, but I would be willing to spend more of my allocated budget in a trend, right? So our primary focus is going to be trends and focusing on position sizing and then focusing also on stops. All right, so let's talk about a market that is chopping around a bit like Meta, right? Would I position size Meta as largely as say Apple? No. All right, what about stop losses? Now there's a couple ways to think about stop losses. It's not a right or wrong. There's two ways. One is where is the trade no longer valid? And two is having a certain fixed amount of your account and dollars that you're willing to lose. Now I would love, right, to say that the validity of the trade and my percentages kind of jive into one place. They don't always. In fact, a trade might be valid for a whole lot longer than I can sustain holding it based on these percentage and dollar limitations to my account and to each contract. So I'm going to primarily go with the choice of using a fixed bet approach, right, over validity. You can do either or, but I think a lot of traders wonder, what are my choices for stops, Rog? You can ask where the trade is no longer valid. In the case of Meta, if we break this support level, right, I would say the trade is no longer valid below that, right? But let's say we buy a contract of Meta. When I teach in the Sector Secrets Mastery, there's a range, but it's a fairly fixed range, right? There's a range of account risk. Right, I'll just use the acronym AC. And there's a dollar amount, which is also based on a certain amount of account risk and contract, right? Contract risk. And all of those work together to let me know how many dollars worth of options I can buy. So validity doesn't have to be if the support is broken. Validity is oftentimes going to be this percentage or dollar base so that I'm not risking a disproportionate amount of my account with each trade. And that's what a lot of traders do. That's what a lot of traders do. So those are the two ways you can look at stop losses. So number two, biggest thing is determine how you want to place your stop and then determine what that stop is going to be to protect your capital. That includes position sizing. There's no way to talk about stop losses without talking about the number of contracts or shares or whatever you're going to buy. So position sizing and stop loss is the same, really the same conversation. Number three is going to be something called alignment, right? Now, alignment simply means that we understand that the important stocks in trading, if we're trading stocks and indices and futures and sectors, that very little exists in a bubble. Very few stocks are an island unto themselves. They're usually going to be sensitive to a niche or a sector or an index or risk appetite or risk aversion. They're going to be sensitive to something. And the more clearly we can see that connectivity of index, think NASDAQ, to sector, say think technology, to ultimately stock like Apple, right? If I think about Apple, the top of the food chain is the NASDAQ. The main sector is technology or the XLK, and the individual stock that's outperforming is Apple. If I take a look at the XLK, right, here's a sector, XLK technology sector, number one weighted in the NASDAQ, right? What's in an uptrend here? Nothing but Apple. So what I want to ask myself is, can I find those stocks that are strong in a sector that's strong, in an index that's strong, right? That's alignment. And the more that we have alignment, the better our follow through. Right now, Apple's a great looking stock, but why isn't it following through in a great way? Because the sector and the index it belongs to has lost its swagger. So we can find individual stocks, but if they're not part of a rising tide at the sector or index level, a lot of times we're going to find ourselves being really frustrated. So this is where we ask ourselves, is now a great time to be looking for follow through? Probably not. Right? One of the things that we do in the Sector Secrets Mastery is we have a lot of gears we can shift into. You know, it's a lot of clubs in our bag. I don't go around the entire 18-hole course with a 7-iron, right? We've got a 7, we got a wedge, we got putters, we got drivers, right? We have all these things. If I'm a race car driver, look, the fancier the car, the more the gears, right? If I'm going through a track and I've got my 6-speed, I know each gear can get me through different parts of the track in a more effective way. As traders, we have to be able to switch gears. Gears can be the type of trading we do, scalping, day trading, short-term swing trading, long-term swing trading, position type trading, or different time frames, right? 2-minute, 5-minute, 1 hour, daily chart, weekly, right? These are the adjustments we can make. So those are things we can keep in mind going into 2025. And the last thing I'm going to throw in there is the idea that we all need some sort of trade tracking software. I don't care what you use. I'm not here to promote any one. I am going to be straight up about what I do like. I have been using TradesViz for quite some time, right? I do like this one a lot. I also like Wingman Tracker. So again, there's really not a bad trade tracking software out there. I think Wingman Tracker is great. So it's wingmantracker.com. One of the most beautiful interfaces out there is one called, I think it's TraderSync or TradeSync. I might be wrong on the name. TraderSync. There we go. This is a beautiful interface. It is. I mean, it's just really cool. That's a cool one. For some folks, they like a really neat interface. I think TradesViz is a really cool interface too. That's why I think a lot of folks, especially the Mastery, like it a lot. It's in every one of these, you can upload your trades into these and do all sorts of different analysis. So I would say as a bonus, number 4, trading 2025 the best you can, getting better every year. You got to measure yourself. You don't know if something's working unless you measure it, right? Unless you measure it. So these are things that we want to be able to do, all right? And those are really the top 3 plus a bonus of what I would do as we go into the new year. And if you hadn't heard already, we're going to be doing an immersion in the Sector Secrets Mastery starting in February. You know, half of January is kind of going to be gone to bank holidays this Wednesday, next Thursday, volume slowly coming back. So I'll talk a lot more into January about the kind of trade results we had in the Sector Secrets Mastery, the kind of trades we put on, and Hopefully I might even have some things to share from our members. What have they learned? What is the corner that they turned? What's the advantage that they're getting? I'll share with you some of what our members are doing. And then come February, we'll be doing a 3-month immersion where you'll be with me getting trades in the room with me for 3 months, as well as extra sessions so I can take you week by week by week through the process of zero to Sector Fu Mojo Dojo expert by the end of that quarter. And by the way, my current members, you're going to be along for the ride too. In fact, you're part of the best part of this. One of the cool things about having a trading room where everyone's trading in a similar way with similar rules and a similar process is you've got support. You're not alone, right? And so that's going to be some of the best part of this. So if you're a current member, awesome. You're going to be along the ride with us. And if you're not, it's not a better time to join what we're doing in the Sector Secrets Mastery, or as I lovingly call it, the Sector Fu Mojo Dojo Trading House. Everyone, have a happy, healthy, prosperous new year. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the room. We're here to lock arms with you. We can together, right, play this game called trading. It takes some training. It takes some patience. It takes some discipline, and all those things are better in a community that wants to see you succeed. I'm all for that. And let's make 2025 an even better year than 2024 was. And if 2024 wasn't a great year, come check out what we're doing, because it was a pretty darn good one in the mastery. Be good to each other, gang. I'm excited for the new year. I'm excited to share it with you all, and I will talk with you all soon. Hey traders, Raghee from Simpler Trading. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like and a comment below. And remember, subscribe and click the bell icon so you'll get notified of the next update. And when you're ready to join me for live trading, be sure to head on over to simplertrading.com. I'll see you in the next update.